I wish I was a little bit taller. I
I
wish I
wish
was
I
a
was a
baller.
baller. I wish I had a with a kid. I would call. I don't even know what it says.
I don't remember the rest, but I just remember that part. And by the way, that was live, so that was cool.
Oh, that's awesome!
Yeah.
Yay!
So we're jamming. We're kind of showing our age, I think, here, which is cool. I think it's important that we appreciate our age. But yeah, I'm so excited. Welcome back, everybody, to the Reinvent Yourself, Discovering Your Higher Purpose podcast. And I am your host, Andres Ruiz. And today I have another very special guest, one of the authors from the OGs, like she
The
called it.
OGs. I'm so glad you said that for
Yeah,
the
yeah.
OGs.
She called herself the OGs. Yeah, these are the first people that were part of the book. So we have Kasandra Prieto, and she today will be sharing her story, which is called "From the Ground Up: A Journey of Growth, Resilience, and Self-Redemption, Redefinition." So
Hmm.
welcome to the show, Cassandra. How are you feeling today?
I am so excited. Of course, I get to chat away. What more can I ask for in life? So
Right?
really excited to share.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, for me, it was just like a great experience to have you as one of the authors. I really like your energy. I really like your attitude, and to have you be part of this book and you sharing your story was really inspiring. Like I have to say that a lot of the things that you talked about, I really resonated with myself. And today we're going to be talking about, briefly a little bit about your story so people can get an idea of what it's about. And then maybe they'll grab themselves a copy of the book, which is right here in my hands. But to kind of like get things started, tell us about like the journey about you writing the book. And I want you to tell us about what was that challenge that you talked about in the book.
So, first off, thank you again for having me. I love being on camera and I just love chatting and this is just my cup of tea. I
Right?
really enjoy this. So thank you, thank you.
Yeah, my
Um,
pleasure.
Secondly, I'm going to say thank you, Andres, for including me in the OG
Oh,
project.
geez. Yep.
And it's so wonderful of an experience. And I never thought I would get to this. And also, we're talking about the next step. But as far as the experience and how that's been about this story, it's a very transitioning time of my life.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of different factors that went into it, but I feel like it was that transition happened in a matter of years, right? And I talk about
Mhm.
this in 12 pages. So, really, the ins and outs of what it was for me, my whole life, music, party, um, friendships, and getting to this place where I was at a job that, I didn't end up going to college after I finished high school, and I didn't have a desire to have a degree. So I get a job and I end up at this job for 13 years, and I'm the typical employee, right? Overwork, underpaid, and then it gets to the unappreciated part, and that's
Mm.
so much. It's so beautiful to see all of it and how every single part of my life, and even from that experience, that I'm glad that I can look back on it, although I can, it was so valuable in that moment. And it taught me so many different lessons. And I learned and I met so many different beautiful, wonderful people. And I built so many relationships. And I learned customer service skills, and I learned um, how to collaborate with someone, and all of these skills that definitely help me in the sales world, right? In the professional sales world, which growing up as a child, I was taught that salespeople were crooks. They're evil. They just want your money, and you better watch what you're signing because the fine print, or they're not telling you stuff. And it was just beside me how I actually ended up in sales, and how now my perspective, because it was a really difficult transition, to say the least, but also to see how now how I view it. I view sales as this beautiful language, right? It really truly allows you to dig deep, to pay attention. It taught me to be present, to really, really be eager to understand people and where they were coming from initially, because of course that's where, that's what I was doing to survive, but because I think that I'm a good human being, and I have a good heart, and I wanted to do right by people. So it really, really created this mirror for me where all the stuff that I was taught as, I couldn't, or, only certain people get ahead in life. And I couldn't do much more than where I was. And I didn't want to leave my job because I was terrified. What am I going to do? I had a safe net. It just, it's so beautiful to see what sales has taught me now, and what I have to appreciate. It's just, wow, I don't have the words for it, but that's really what my story has been about. It's about that transition, that initial transition. Fast forward 10 years later, I mean, I'm a completely different person. I communicate differently. I understand different things. I am more present. I think that's the big, big part. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like lives
Yeah.
are just so, and I've incorporated now, I practice that presence in all areas of my life, right? I feel like sales taught me personal skills that I could apply to be a better quality human being, just in general, with my family, with my friends, with people I date, with in every area of my life. I feel like it's allowed me and assisted with me becoming a higher quality human being. So I don't know if I got off track here
No,
already.
no, I like it. No, no, but that's what it's about. I like when people get off track because that's who I am too. So I like when that happens because I understand what you're talking about because there's so much to unpack with that because you definitely, everything you shared right now, if people rewind that, I mean, those last like 5 minutes were just like transformational. If you really listen to it, it's like a little mini masterclass that you just gave right there because there's
Yay.
there's a lot of golden nuggets there that you can really unpack because like you said that whole thing with just being present, there's so much value there, and then also like you just looking at the past as like a gift. That's another thing that we can definitely learn from you today because it really is a gift, you know, like you looked at those things. And then also like what I really love about your story is how you talked about how, man, like the whole thing with the degree, you know, like I know I related to that so much. I felt like that's what defined who I was when I was, you know, growing up. Like if you had a degree you were great, if not then you sucked. And so that's what really
Truly.
resonated with me so much, your story, and then just having jobs that, you know, they were paying the bills and they were comfortable, but you knew that there was more. So I know that, you know, through that period, through that time, there were some struggles, and I really would love for you to share some of those struggles that you went through during that transition, if you could share that with us.
Absolutely. So one of the big things, and I'm very open with it, I don't preach it. And if anybody that's listening to this knows me, they know that I'm very open about this. One of the things that I did not realize it was a growing issue, and one of the biggest challenges, I feel it's so easy when we're unhappy, right, in different areas of our lives, not only when we are unhappy with what we do for a living, but maybe on a personal level, there's all of these things that sometimes we don't work on, and so we drag them around as adults. And so what ends up happening is we have to somehow find a way to numb them, right? Find a way to be happy. And so one of the big things for me is I've been a musician since I was a little girl. I love singing. I learned to play the piano a little bit, the guitar. I even played the violin when I was little in a mariachi. But the music world and becoming a musician as a grown up is very different. There's a lot of things you're exposed to, right? And alcoholism runs in my family, and it is something that it's adopted by everybody, right? So what if I have a few drinks every week? It's fine. I'm not an alcoholic. So I mean, I feel like I had that mentality majority of my life, and I didn't realize how it just kept accumulating, accumulating. And because I wasn't really dissecting into what's wrong from the root, it was just growing. So as a musician, I met a lot of people, went to a lot of clubs, and I used to drink a lot. And I feel like I was living for the weekend. That's, I think, when I got to that conclusion, I feel like a lot of things started to shift because I'm like, I'm literally dying on Monday so that it could be Friday. And then Friday, I was partying or DJing or singing at the clubs. And at first, in my early 20s, it was pretty cool, right? I'm not going to say it wasn't. And I knew everybody. I was a cool kid. And if you wanted to get in with me without making the big old line outside of the cool club, you had to be cool with me. So I mean, there's its perks, right? I mean, it was great, but again, it was going out, drinking, having a great time, and back to feeling like crap during the week, right? And it's just like over and over and over again. And my life went through that way. And one day I feel like I was very much appreciated at this job that I had during the day. I was an admin, and I remember that moment very well. I was in not a cubicle, it was an office. And I remember just kind of like looking up at the wall, and I was like, I'm so unhappy. Like, is this all there is to life? This is all I have. I'm going to be here. And I had been there, I think, 13 years, I want to say 11 or 13 years. And I remember that I was like, I'm gonna have another 15 years of this, and then just, you know, partying on the weekend, and that's it. That's all. And for whatever reason, it did not sit well. And after that, I had an incident. And I was DJing at one of the clubs. There was this girl that kept asking for the same song, and I had put it on already, and I was just so like me asqué, así que dije, oh my God, like, is this like, and this girl's like, yeah, you didn't put that song on. I'm like, I, and I realized I not had a drink of water, an alcohol beverage. I hadn't eaten. I was tired. It was 1 o'clock in the morning. And I was just like, I can't, this is not, and I'm looking at everybody. Everybody's having a good time. When you're out and you're not drinking and everybody's partying it up, it's not the same. I can I can hang in there 30 minutes, an hour, but it's not the same. And then I was just like, I can't. So fast forward a week after that, I had started looking for different jobs. I found a job in sales, and I was terrified, but I jumped, and it was in the life insurance industry. And I am so grateful. Let me tell you, the amount of calls that I made to people, because that was hardcore, right? You go in there, you write a list of the people that you know, you're telling them, hey, I've made a career change. I'd love to share with you in case anything that you may need in the future, or anybody really trying to, I wanted to make the switch. Everybody knew Cassandra as a party animal and a DJ or a musician, and she was super fun. But now she's calling me about my retirement. Are you kidding me, Cassandra? Here, this is a joke, right? This is a joke. You're DJing 2 weeks ago, and now you're calling me about my future? Like, oh my God, Andres, I have so many stories like those. But here's the thing. When I get into that moment and what I was going through, I didn't have a lot of money. I truly was sick and tired of my life. I wanted something different. I wanted more. I knew there was more. And the one interview that I had before I got that job, I remember this guy, his name was Steve Nelson, and he was a recruiter, a branch manager for this company. And I remember him saying, you have so much potential. You are just so special, the way that you connect with people. He, for the first time, made me believe that I could have a different life. And I thank him so much. I think that people like you are so essential in life because we just need that one person to believe in us, to really go and fight, to redirect. And thank God that I was terrified. I mean, and it wasn't easy the first 4 to 5 years. I mean, I have stories from my car getting repossessed, my electric going out. I had this last $50 in my pocket. opening the door of my house and trying to, go into the refrigerator, the lights are out, and I didn't have a place. Like it's so hard when you go through all of that. And then your family is like, please go back to your 9 to 5. You at least weren't struggling there. You weren't suffering. They don't want to see me. They don't want to see you struggle, right? That's why the family sometimes doesn't understand. But it's not because they're bad or they're ill intended. It's because they want to see you okay. And majority of the time, most people don't ever take a chance because of that. But I met this guy. I jumped into it. I cried, um, tears of blood, Andres, with those phone calls that I made because people made fun of me. My closest friends were like, "Oh my God, stop talking about that. We're so tired." It was just, it was. I got to a point where I couldn't make the phone calls anymore. And I said, I cannot keep calling people because it's crushing my soul, my heart. And I was trying and I was listening to motivational speeches and I was really, really trying to just believe that I could be someone and do something. And um, all of a sudden, oh gosh, I hate when this happens. I just lose my train of thought completely. Where was I?
So, so you're talking about how, you're down and out. You're like, oh man, this is it. Like, you just didn't want to make the calls anymore. People were
Oh,
making fun
yes,
of you.
yes. So I decided, so as I'm, 'cause I was just deciding that there is no going back. I'm not gonna stop doing this because everybody's gonna be like, yeah, Cassandra tried and she didn't do it. Right. So I decided that I'm really good at building relationships. So you know what? Even if I have to work every single day of the week, I'm gonna go to every single networking uh, place, every single like I did not sit there and pity myself and just feel bad for myself. I decided to go to 2 events a day sometimes, but I was going to every single networking event I possibly could get my hands on. And New York Life taught me so well. They taught me how to prospect, but not just prospect, how to build relationships. So I'd go and I'd say, Andrea, pleasure to meet you. Tell me about yourself. And that's where you start learning psychology, right? Personal skills. And then you give me your card. I take you out to coffee the next day. I want to learn all about your story. I genuinely want to connect. And I started building my business that way. Fast forward 3 years after, I had over 350 clients from my book. I left to go into real estate, and there's a ton that happened through that. But what I can tell you is going into real estate, I felt like I had already established myself. I had proved to people that it didn't matter what they thought or what support they gave. Cassandra is gonna do what she's gonna do, and I'm heading that way. And I'm not gonna redirect just because nobody believes or has faith in me. And I think that was the beginning of a path of discovery, of self love, of self belief. Even when we don't believe in ourselves fully, but you're acting in such way, then life starts changing. And fast forward 10 years, here we are. I'm actually writing about this whole challenge. Um, but it's so beautiful, if some people that read this book were part of that journey, I'm sure they'll chuckle, right? Because I proved, who cares about everybody else, but I proved to myself that I
Mm.
could do something different, and just different in the sense that I wasn't happy where I was and I'm happier where I am, but I still have a long ways to go.
I love that, man. That was so good and so motivating because, like you said, there was a time when you didn't believe in yourself. You had that one person. It seems like it just took that one person that saw the greatness in you, that saw all the potential in you that you at the time didn't see for yourself. And all of a sudden somebody sees it for you. And then I love how you just decided to make a decision that, you know what, they're making fun of me, they're saying stuff, I don't care, I'm going to do it anyway, I'm going to continue to move forward. And that's what it really does take, is for you to have that thick skin and just stop caring about what others are going to say, but start, caring about what you desire. And I think that that's where you really found yourself. And I think that's where you're connecting with yourself a lot more and you're getting to know yourself. And I love how you said that I'm still a work in progress. And that's
Yeah,
beautiful because I think it's important that we continue to work on ourselves. Like, I think it's always going to be an ongoing process, and I'm super proud of you for continuously doing the work that not a lot of people have the courage to do, like you did. Um, so for you, like out of everything that you had gone through, what would you say are some of the most valuable lessons that you learned on this amazing, crazy, journey that you've been on that you could share with the audience that maybe they can take away for themselves, that maybe they're still trying to find out like what it is that they want to do. Maybe they're stuck at that job just like you were, that you're like, is this it? Like, am I going to be here for another 15 years? Or maybe they're just having self-doubt. They don't believe in themselves. They're having trouble. What are some of the like tips or lessons that you've learned that you want to share with the audience that are having trouble with that?
Absolutely. So one of the big things, this one example came to mind. There was this person that told me one time, you know, it wasn't in such a positive way. It was more of a critique, and they said, "You, it's good and everything, but you have a lot of tunnel vision." And they struggled to understand that. And I took that, Andres, so personal, like it was a negative. I've been critiqued um, from I wasn't going to do anything, I wasn't going to be anybody. And yeah, try it. We'll see you come back. Um, and what I would say is in the moments of most pain, in the moments of most challenge, in the moments where I felt the most angry and frustrated and disappointed and pitying myself, that's where I found strength. And I truly believe this. Sometimes it's not until we have enough pain associated with a circumstance that we actually change, that we have the possibility to change. So, pain is your best friend. It truly has been. Pain, anger, frustration. When someone's told me, and now I'm like, thank God I had tunnel vision. Thank God I had tunnel vision. If I didn't have tunnel vision, I would have never focused on the other end of that, right? I would have never started my career in sales and been doing okay. Um, I can't say obviously I'm not a millionaire or anything like that, but what I can say is I do okay. I'm doing better than where I was, and I have a lot of goals, but sustaining a sales career is very challenging. And I got through it. And because of my tunnel vision, I said, I'm going to make it because I'm going to make it. And I'm still making it. Right. But it's not how it was at the very beginning. So allow your pain, allow your, what you think are um, maybe not so positives to fuel your drive. Don't let anybody's opinion be your actual reality. I know that Les West, I think, is who says that. Don't allow anybody else to determine who you are, what you can be. Nobody can tell you. And all those people that told me, I know, no, it's so hard, it's so hard. That's their reality, not mine. You know what you're made of. And we can find a ton of excuses. If we really want to do something, we will find a way. And if we don't, we will find a ton of excuses everywhere. So believe that you can. And even when you don't, act on it. And don't let anybody tell you what you can or can't do. That is my biggest, because everybody told me I was going to be complete opposite from where I am today. And get curious about your growth. Get curious about your personality. I am a very passionate Hispanic Latina grown woman, and my essence has always been there. When I was younger, I was just all over the place, and I would get frustrated and yell, and a lot of people judge me for that. But now, has that changed? Oh, I still, you better believe I'm still a Hispanic Latina woman that's very passionate. um, but I've molded myself. I've done deep work on myself. The one thing that I want to close with is I remember listening to Tony Robbins. I would run in the mornings. I was living out in Green Valley, and I would run every morning when I was really, really struggling. And I would cry, and I would listen to Tony Robbins and like, you can do it, just go get it, go. Like, all of these strategies that he gave for my mindset to shift, but about belief. And I did that for about a year, and then I only dreamed of seeing him in person. And by right now, I've seen him twice in person. I've gotten to go to his seminars, which was only what I felt was a dream. So Tony Robbins has changed my life. Get curious about yourself and don't let others tell you who you are. You're the only one that can determine that.
I love it, man. Such good stuff. I think people should definitely replay this because, like I said, you gave us like a master class today, man, and it's very inspiring, very motivating. And this is something that I know that a lot of people can definitely learn from you. So thank you again for being on. And and then one more final question, just for like people out there that have been thinking about, putting their story out there, like putting a story out in a book like this. Um, what what would you like to share based on your experience with this book? What would you like to share for those people who are kind of on the fence that are like, oh no, I don't think I can put my story out there, or what will people think or say about me, or what if it's not good enough? Can you just give them some words based on your experience, like to share with them if they're interested? So
Absolutely. So, one of the things that I will say, as we are traveling through this beautiful, magnificent world, we get to experience different things. And most of us take them with us because the experiences are not shared. And for me, things have become more about legacy, about if I die tomorrow, God forbid, would it even matter that I have existed? What am I leaving to the world? Now, you could say that and say, oh, yeah, but what? Most people will probably not read it, so don't worry about it. But if they do, what if it helped one human being, one person that your story made a world of a difference to, and they now get to live a happier, more positive life or make different decisions based off of your mistakes that were shared? Don't leave this planet without sharing with the world what you experienced. It goes such a long ways because then did it even matter that you were here? That's really how I see it, Andres. And we've talked about I want to work on a book to make a complete book by myself. And I think it is a beautiful gift, not only for the world, but for your family, and share your mistakes. Be proud of your mistakes because that's the only reason why you are who you are today. And if you're proud of that, share them. So that's what I have to say to anybody on the fence.
thank you, man. That was so good, and thank you so much for just sharing your wonderful knowledge. Like definitely, I mean, I learned something today as well, just listening to you and, talking about my Uncle Tony, our Uncle
Yes,
Tony. We love Tony Robbins, and again,
yes, I love.
I really appreciate you, Cassandra, for being so willing to put your greatness out there and for continuously putting your greatness out there. You're definitely one of a kind. You're definitely in that 1% where people that are action takers that do things that put them out of their comfort zone, and that's what you're doing. So I'm super proud of you, and I'm very grateful for you to have been part of this wonderful group, and I'm excited for your big book. I know it's
Yay!
coming.
Yes, it is. We
It's
gotta work on
happening.
it this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But again, thank you for being on the show. And thank you, the listener, for checking out another episode of Reinvent Yourself, Discovering Your Higher Purpose podcast. And if you're interested in putting your greatness out there and sharing your story, I am looking for people who would be interested in being a part of the Reinvent Yourself project. we have some more spots available for new authors. So if you're interested in being a part of this, send me a text at 520-392-9179, and we will get you rolling and started and have you published just like Cassandra did. So thank you again,
Woo!
everybody. Have a wonderful day. Peace.
Bye.